seems to be connected to the speaker.
I figured out the
Really?
output.
Let me try it.
Yeah, you put the output.
Hi. Let's see. If it all works, that would be amazing.
Yes, and
'Cause
then
I had
the last
this-
piece of technology is the microphone for you, so that people can hear you.
I wonder if it'll interfere with the mic. I'm interesting. Is it wired or wireless?
Wireless.
Interesting. Can we do it?
So I just turned it on. It should, it might not be on, the system might not be on yet. Hold on.
I feel like it's almost a small enough space. We could do it. But
It's up to you. If you're more comfortable without and the audience is okay
it'll
without.
interfere. Do you think? Welcome.
It's plenty loud.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm worried it's going to
interfere.
interfere with the wireless signal for the other mic.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
then we can-
I think it's the acoustics are good enough.
You're
Hello.
happy? Going old school.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for coming.
Okay, so now that all of that's working, I'm just going to go make an announcement over the loudspeakers and turn off the house music.
Sure. I'm just trying to play with the audio. Okay, nice. Thank you, Rachel. Lisa, thanks a lot. You saved the day. Does that go up or that's max? I don't know. If I lose the connection, I might need you. Still a little grainy. Sophia, you're in here a few times. You're famous. Mike, I got you in here. At least one drill.
I'll announce this, but what is it again?
Oh, thank you guys for coming. If you would like a free lesson with me, fill out the raffle, and I think my daughter Ocean is going to draw the winner later after the talk.
So we'll just
Thank
pass
you.
the bowl around.
It'll be a really good lesson, I promise. It'll be worth it.
If you just put your name, if you stay till the end, we'll draw right here. You don't have to put your phone number.
I'm in high demand.
You got a whole bowl worth. You got a whole bowl worth.
Isaiah, how's the live stream?
So one question for my intro. Do you pronounce your last name Lewit?
Lewit.
Lewit.
Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. This is so cool. We can do a video journey to Spain.
¿Cómo aplicamos los ejercicios que queremos usar para conseguir a dónde queremos llegar? Y no es tan importante lo mucho que
Sophia, do you know this guy?
la capacidad que tengamos
Yeah.
de poder hacer llegar nuestros mensajes al jugador. El jugador tenemos que hacer que piense muy poco en su mecánica, en cómo hacer las cosas. Tiene que sentir
Kim, I know all of these coaches and it's so nostalgic. Yeah.
Entonces se acordará de siempre de lo que quiere conseguir.
Yeah, I just would wait till 6 before last few people. I know Tina's coming and yeah. And,
Well, they might get here late though.
Should I just begin at 6? A couple minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'll do a quick intro at 6. The last
Okay.
ones are always the hardest part to
I'm so happy we have the sound. It's exciting. I like to share the journey through Spain. Nice.
There's a seat right up here on the second row if you guys want.
Isaiah, what do you think? Are we live?
Yeah. It's a big grainy room.
You don't have the Wi-Fi password.
I do.
Huh?
Is it
but there's a different Wi-Fi you could.
It's okay.
How grainy is it?
So it looks like I zoomed in a bit. I don't know. I think
You got
the-
sound though.
I
You
should
have sound. You need to make
the exposure's on off and right outside.
make sure we have sound.
Start on time
The
for everybody,
sound.
okay? You want to start on time for
Okay. Okay.
Sound is good. Sound is good.
Sound good, huh? That's great. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as
Thanks
well.
for coming.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, I have one. Oh, thanks. You're so kind. Thanks. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. I do a lot of conferences and stuff. I never had a dry throat, and then I recently did like a big podcast, and I actually like lost my voice in the podcast, and it was really embarrassing. So now it's like a fundamental. You gotta have. It's an essential. You gotta have water.
Okay, so it's 6 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming out tonight. I'm Rachel, I'm the Director of Events for Northshire Bookstore, though I'm usually over in our Saratoga store, so it's a treat for me to be here with you in Manchester tonight. Thank you so much for supporting indie bookselling. Those of you who just arrived, there's a couple of seats up front if you don't mind coming to the front row. Thank you so much for supporting indie bookselling. We couldn't do what we do without folks like you, so thank you so much. A logistical note, at the end of our conversation here, our author will be at the signing table downstairs, signing copies of his books, and you'll find the book at the bottom of the stairs. As you come down on the right, please purchase your book before having it signed. And lastly, please come back to future Northshire events. I left copies of our March event calendar with just a couple of events remaining on it around the space, and you can find out what's going on in April on our website at northshire.com. Tonight, I am delighted to welcome Chris Lewit to the store to talk about the new second edition of his book, The Secrets of Spanish Tennis. He is a best-selling author, educator, and one of the top junior coaches in the U.S. He's a contributing editor for Tennis Player magazine and the author of the Tennis Techniques Bible. He develops players in the New York City area and also at his high-performance tennis training center right here in Manchester, Vermont. Please join me in welcoming him to Northshire this evening.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you coming out. I wanted to try to share with you a taste of the Spanish method. And we actually got the technology working. I can take you through a video journey into Spain with some authentic video, some drills, and some highlights from Rafa and Carlos Alcaraz, famous Spanish players. So I'm like super excited that we got the tech working, and I can sort of give you that visceral experience of maybe training in Spain or what they do in Spain. That will really help you understand how Spanish tennis works. But do you know how many people are in Spain? Does anyone know the population of Spain? Anyone have an idea?
40 million.
Yeah, that's a good guess. It's between 40 and 50 million. It's closer to 47 million now, which is a very small country, and they've dominated world tennis. They've had as many as 15 players in the top 100 for many, many years. So it begs the question, this is the first question that I asked myself more than 20 years ago, is how did they do that? How does a small country, how are they so successful on the world stage? And that curiosity sparked my journey in Spanish tennis. And I first went there about 20 years ago, and I met some of the legendary coaches in Spain. And one of the coaches is Luis Bruguera. He's a very, very famous coach in Spain. He's a legend. And you may not have heard of him, but he's like a Nick Bollettieri. If you're familiar with tennis in the U.S., he's like a very, very legendary coach in Spain. And Luis, in the foreword to my first book, the first edition of the Spanish Secrets of Spanish Tennis, he said, there must be something special that makes Spanish tennis unique and that makes Spanish tennis successful. And so I'd like to try to delve into that and share with you this methodology. Here's a few video clips of Luis, so you can kind of get an idea who this guy is. This is one of my students, Sofia. She's here. Good job, Sofia. This is actually in Barcelona this last October. We were both there. And Luis is getting very old now. He's probably close to 80 years old. He's been coaching for decades now. He's developed a number of top 100 players in Spain. And this is an example of Spanish-style training that's very popular in Spain. The coach stands up close to the player and does these little soft tosses from the hand. It's called hand feeding. It's called cleaning. And this is the way they train in Spain. Every day they do their baskets. You can see the shopping carts. It's really cool. A lot of times they'll use buckets. I have another video where you'll see traditional, like a paint bucket or a candy bucket. They just fill the balls with buckets. Nowadays in Spain they're starting to use like the official carts that we see here in the US, but it used to be really cool vibe with the buckets and the shopping carts. Good job, Sofia. So that's called Spanish cleaning, and that's Luis Bruguera, a legend in Spain. Share with you another clip. This is from the Bruguera Academy. This is actually another one of my students. His name is Brendan, very good player, plays Division I college tennis now. And let's see the date on this video. I think this is 6 years ago. And this is Luis, maybe 7 years ago, and another example of Luis Bruguera at work with these soft feeding. Before I went to Spain, I never saw coaching like this. I never seen anything like it. If you've ever taken a lesson in the US, what's the lesson look like typically? The coach is on the far side of the court, and the coach feeds with the racket from a long distance away. And this was one of my first introductions to the idea of being up close with a player and working on their game face to face with soft hand feeding. This is a little bit longer video. Does this interest you, or should we move on to the next one? It depends on if you're an aficionado of Spanish training. So this one goes on for 20 or 30 balls, the whole maybe 40 balls, and at the end the player's exhausted from just the continuation, wearing the player down. So that's Luis Bruguera. God bless him, he's still going, because the next legend that I'm going to share with you unfortunately passed away, one of my mentors. I've had several mentors pass away recently, actually. I think you'll enjoy this. Give you a real glimpse at Mr. Bruguera. Mr. Bruguera is one of the main reasons for Spanish success, so I spend a lot of time sharing his expertise with you guys. This is the old Bruguera Academy. Kim, do you remember going here?
Of course.
This is in the hills of Barcelona. Give you a little glimpse of his method.
Que queremos usar para conseguir a dónde queremos llegar. Y no es tan importante lo mucho que sabemos, sino la capacidad que tengamos de poder hacer llegar nuestros mensajes al jugador. El jugador tenemos que hacer que piense muy poco en su mecánica, en cómo hacer las cosas. Tiene que sentir cómo hacer lo que le pedimos. Entonces se acordará siempre de lo que quiere conseguir. Nos gusta intentar que ellos sientan lo que nosotros queremos que hagan, no decírselo cómo lo tienen que hacer. ¿Qué queremos que ellos hagan? Entonces ellos saben cómo sentir más fuerza, cómo sentirse más cómodos, cómo ajustar mejor, cómo emplear una serie de razones técnicas que de alguna forma hacen que haga mejor las cosas. Es fundamental buscar, después de haber analizado cuáles son los problemas del jugador, con qué ejercicios.
This is the Grand Slam winner, Sergio Bruguera. You may remember him. He won 2 Roland Garros in 1993 and 1994. And his success catapulted Spain to the top of the world right here. That's Luis's son. He was number 3 in the world.
De alguna forma, esto le hace. Y por eso, de alguna forma, lo más importante es analizar cuál es el problema, buscar los ejercicios, hacerlos de una forma positiva y después esperar trabajando los resultados. Hacer del jugador un poco más automático.
This is a common Spanish drill. You see the hand feeding again here. This style of drilling is very popular in Spain now. They still do feeding with the racket, but they focus a little more on the hand feeding. Were you able to see the subtitles? So Luis's philosophy has spread all around Spain, and his basic concepts are to keep things simple, to find the right exercise for the player. He believes in guided discovery, so that's very common in Spain. They don't dictate too much technique. They let the player discover the right way through finding the right exercise, which is really interesting. Okay, the next legend I alluded to, his name is William Pato Alvarez. Was a mentor of mine in Spain. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. He had a big, amazing life, and he had an incredible life in tennis. I have a video of him 3 days before he passed. He went to a wall, very symbolic, and he's just tapping the ball. His last rally against the wall, and he passed away. It's very sad. But the symbolism is appropriate, or apropos, because the wall, the idea of playing against a wall is a very common drill that they use in Spain. So there's Pato 3 days before he passed, rallying against the wall, and he himself created the wall, la pared, which is a very famous Spanish drill. So I have a lot of good memories of studying with Pato in Barcelona. There's not as much footage about him. This is 14 years old, short little clip. He's training Grigor Dimitrov. You may know Grigor Dimitrov. Pato trained him when he was a teenager. You saw the interesting drill, that the style that he was using his racket to bounce the ball. He uses his racket in creative ways to bounce the ball. It's like soft feeding. He's doing cleaning, but it's a little bit different, his style. I think you'll get a glimpse here. This one is also, I think, 14 years old. It's a little bit grainy, but there's very little footage left of Pato. He's passed on, and there's very few people continuing his legacy now. Only people who studied with him, like me, or who spent time on the court with him, his former students, are the only ones continuing his legacy now. If you look at this drill, it's typical Pato Alvarez drill, and this became common in Spain. It's an X pattern. It's called the X. And the player moves back and forth along the X, and there's many variations of this type of exercise. This one is at the net with an approach and volley. I won't run the whole thing, but I'll let you get to the first part where the player fatigues so much he has to stop. And this is Pato's genius. He used to train players until they collapsed. I've seen him train players with this drill, and they literally collapsed on the court. Here, you can see he's tired, and I don't know if you can catch it, but this is a classic Pato. After he makes the player suffer, he just stands there kind of, he says nothing. Just, and the player's like, are we going to do more? And this continues for another minute and a half. He gets another basket. I think he's using a basket, but Pato is famous for los cubos. Los cubos are buckets in Spain. So if you ever heard that a Spanish player say, I was working on buckets, I was working on cubos, it just means they were training from a bucket. He's going to say how tired he is.
Fine. How you feel?
Didn't Dimitrov
Yes, I haven't checked the highlights. Does anyone know if he won or? Grigor, it's incredible. His career is amazing, and he spent a lot of time in Spain. He spent many years with this legend, with this coach. They traveled on tour together, and they trained during his teenage years. Yeah, he trained at the Emilio Sanchez Academy. And Grigor's still playing amazing tennis.
I thought he had a big game yesterday, like against Kirill.
I didn't catch the result, but he's one of the elder statesmen on tour, and he's still playing incredible tennis. He was recently in the top 10. Okay, so this is another legend. Has anyone heard of Tony Nadal? He's fondly known as Uncle Tony. I have a really nice video here. I think you guys will enjoy it. Just talking about his journey with Rafa Nadal. It's an incredible story. Incredible story. How he took his nephew and trained him since a young boy, and they won over 20 Grand Slams together. Does anyone know how many Roland Garros Rafa won? 14 Roland Garros. For anyone who's not in tennis, that's incredible. It's a grueling tournament. And to win Roland Garros, it takes tremendous fortitude and endurance and mental toughness. You have to be a real warrior. I think it's arguably one of the greatest accomplishments in all sports of any athlete, to win 14 Roland Garros. It's unheard of. So we could debate some other great accomplishments in sports, but this is definitely one of them. So check this out. It's a really nice video on Tony. And Tony doesn't give a lot of interviews. He is
Behind every great sportsman, you will often find an influential
he's very private. So this is kind of a rare glimpse at Tony.
who's orchestrated their success down the years. For world number one, Rafael Nadal, that man is his uncle, Tony. A constant presence since the very start.
Tony Nadal is really one of these fascinating only in tennis characters. Really an interesting dynamic, and I think the fact that Rafa's gotten to this point in his career and there's no coaching change and there isn't any, hey, we need a break. I mean, clearly Nadal,
This is a little older. If you're not familiar with Rafa, he retired recently.
The ups and the downs of his injury issues and bringing him back in the right way. And I'm not privy to what they talk about too often, but it's been impressive to see Rafa solve problems as they come up in his
You guys
career.
see okay? Am I blocking him?
For sure, at the beginning was the key fact that I started to play tennis. My uncle, in particular, that was a coach of the village, the club on my village.
He was just a coach in the little village in Mallorca, and he developed this amazing player.
When it comes to coaching.
For me, it's important that the player believe in the coach. When you work with a good player, when you work with a good guy that has a good talent, what you need is having a good communication and give some keys for playing a little better.
Yeah, that's it. Good communication and a few tips.
Their coaches several times during their careers.
That's all it takes when you have Rafa as your student.
United by a special bond.
There's a element of trust in there that you can never compare with most probably any other coach-player relationship.
I have this possibility because I am his uncle. I don't earn money with Rafael, and I can say what I want.
Can say whatever he wants.
I think that was always good for him.
Tony has helped make Rafa one of the greats. Their 2 decades together enable the coach to give a unique insight into what has made this player so good.
I think every player has something special. Every big player. I think he has a good technique. Many people think that Rafael has only good legs and strong mentality. Sometimes he play not too good, but he wants to win, and this is the most important thing for him.
Tony did a good job. His English is not very good. I've interviewed Tony for a magazine article. I've spent time on the court with him. He's an amazing coach. He's not really a technical coach. He's very good at the psychology. He's very good at values. He has a tremendous values and character-driven system, character-building system. That's one of his greatest strengths. Okay, and one more for you guys. All of these coaches are foundational to what happened in Spain, to the success, the reason why that little country became so great. in the world, I try to argue that it wasn't just a methodology. It was these really famous coaches who were working in the trenches, in the grassroots. They were working so hard. They were so passionate. They were pushing, and they had all this success for Spain. Although there is an excellent methodology too. Here you have Antonio Cascales, and this video is about Juan Carlos Ferrero.
15.
Okay, does everyone know this Juan Carlos Ferrero? He was a famous player. He was #1 in the world, and now he's been coaching Alcaraz, who also made #1 in the world. So there's this incredible connection there. And he took Alcaraz under his wing at 15 years old and brought him to #1. It's an incredible relationship, coach-student relationship, mentoring relationship. And the guy I mentioned, Antonio Cascales, he was Juan Carlos Ferrero's coach, and he also helps coach Alcaraz. So this whole team around Alcaraz helped bring him up.
Everybody knows that there was a boy that has an amazing level for his age, and I see things in him that he has that when I was also 14, 15 at that age. So that I liked a lot, and I decided to start working with him.
Juan Carlos helped me a lot. He played his first Grand Slam. He can help me how to play with the pressure, with the nervous, and yeah, I think with Juan Carlos coach is it's amazing.
First thing, I'm very disappointed because I wasn't his idol. It's amazing. No, I'm kidding. Something difficult because this kind of players, particular Carlos, everybody was talking about him when he was 15, 16, and even more now, of course. So sometimes it's very difficult to create a bubble around him and make him practice with normal situation.
The tennis world is in for a bit of a shake-up with this man on the up. There's no doubt he's going to be a great...
How many Grand Slams has Alcaraz won? Anyone know?
It's nice to hear that the people is comparing him as an
4. All 4 Grand
young,
Slams, and each one.
Talent. But what we
Wimbledon,
have to
US
do,
Open.
I think, is keep working hard, create that
Not bad for a young guy.
To stay calm and try to get good results, good experience, and we'll see all this work and sacrifice can bring him to the court.
Juan Carlos know that I have to train a lot of in the gym. I have to be a good player, a strong player. The physical part is really important to be able to play at the same level in a matches of 3, 4, 5 hours. I think it's really important to be focused as well. So I think it was the key.
Carlos Alcaraz.
He's got a great smile.
Fighting spirit that he has.
Yeah, well, my favorite shot or my best shot is the forehand, and I try to play with my forehand every time.
Try to remember that theme because the forehand, developing the forehand as a weapon is major focus in Spain. Pretty much all Spanish players will tell you that they dominate the game with their forehand.
Breathtaking from Alcaraz, simply stunning.
Yeah, his best shot, I think, his forehand. He's very natural, and he pushes through the hand very easy. I like also the most the naturality that he's going to the net and finish the boys in there, because it's very difficult to see someone that is very young to do this kind of things.
Absolutely stunning from Alcaraz.
He's starting to manage the pressure as a natural thing that you're gonna have on the court before getting to the important moments, and he's telling that he's wishing to face some of the important names on the draw. So that means that he wants to be there and compete and of course try to enjoy and win the match. So I think he's completely 100% ready to face whatever it comes.
I'm a young player that I have to still gain experience, to still play the best player, to I have to lose against them to learn how to deal the pressure, handle the tough moment, handle to play in front of a great crowd in a big stadium. So well, I think that I have to still gain experience, to still growing up as a player.
Okay, so he has grown up, and like we were saying, he's won 4 slams. And do you have any Alcaraz fans here? I love watching him. He's very dynamic. He has a great smile, and he's quite a showman. Okay, so that lays the foundation for Spanish tennis. You know these guys, Alcaraz and Nadal. Spain was blessed with these incredible athletes, so it's not just the coaches, it's also the athletes. Sometimes you get lucky with the genetic lottery. These are certainly genetic freaks, both of them. There was good material there. So what I wrote in my book is that this is a remarkable journey since the 1970s when Luis Bruguera and Pato Alvarez were working in the trenches. I don't think these guys ever could have comprehended what happened in Spain, how this small country became so successful. And now it's true that Spain is on a little bit of a dip. They have Alcaraz, but they don't have 10 to 15 players in the top 100 like they used to. But they're still a very successful country. What's happened in Spain now is, don't let the numbers fool you. A lot of foreign players go to Spain to train, but they're not counted for Spain. So you have many, many top 100 players, professional players who are in Spain training, but they're not necessarily native-born Spanish players. So that's something that's changed a lot in Spain. Emilio Sanchez is a famous Spanish player. He wrote one of the forewords for my book. And he says that the Spanish method, the methodology, is defined by the great players and their style. But more importantly, it's the way they moved. And it's the way they lived for the tennis. And so that's something common that you hear a lot in Spain, the passion that Spanish players have for the game, the love of the game, and the hard work and sacrifice. Obviously, every champion has that, but in Spain, they're very famous for that passion. And the way they move. Spanish players are beautiful movers. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about the methodology now and how it can help your game if you're a tennis player or if you're a coach. Top 5 tips. Segueing into movement, Rafa Nadal said, if you don't move well, you are not going to have a good shot. The most important thing is to arrive in the right position to hit the ball. If you are in a good position, you can do what you want. This is a fundamental concept in Spanish tennis, an obsession with how you move, with how you position your body, not as much of an obsession with how you swing, like a follow-through, for example. A lot of times in the US, you take a lesson and the coach focuses on how you're moving your arm, for example. In Spain, they focus downstairs at the lower body level. And I have some good clips to share with you to get a glimpse of Spanish training. Here's Alcaraz working like a beast, always working on his footwork and movement. This one I can't blow up, I don't think. Maybe. This is at the Juan Carlos Ferrero Academy in Vienna, which is near Alicante. And that's where Alcaraz still trains to this day. He trained there as a teenager. He's still there. So a footwork focus. If you focus on your movement and footwork, you will hit the ball better.
5 most common form mistakes.
This guy is not Spanish.
So the 5th most common problem.
But he really likes Spanish tennis.
Basically, that's the distance between the body, the trunk, and the ball. They get cramped, and that makes the swing tighter. It slows down the racket speed, and it reduces the power on the shot. It also reduces the spin rate, which is very important. The 4th most.
He sounds really smart. If you notice what the guy said, is you need spacing. Spacing is critical. So in Spain, they spend a lot of time not on the swinging as much, but more on the relationship between the ball and the body. That's really important, and that will give you more spin, more power. That working on that alone will help your shot more than just focusing on what your arm's doing. Again, that relates to the footwork. Second point.
Mistake that I see on the forehand is typically posture, and most people struggle.
Sophia,
to
you're
keep their
there.
back straight and to keep their balance. Basically, when you hit, you want to keep your back very upright. The third most.
Okay, so posture. If you guys are out there playing, try not to play like this. Try not to bend at the waist. Try to keep your posture, keep your back straight. That's a very common focus in Spain.
Forehand mistake that I see on the court in my lessons are not using the legs enough to drive up into the shot. Second most common.
So as I mentioned, the legs are a huge focus in Spain. What you're doing with las piernas, you want to have strong legs, good support system with the legs. They spend a lot of time loading the legs in Spain and making sure you have a good foundation. They call it a support system. Sometimes they call it a plataforma. And you need to have a good base for every shot. Every shot that you try to hit, you need to have a solid base. So obsession with the legs, along with the movement, is a big part of Spanish tennis.
Forehand mistake is being too rigid, being too tight. Number one, most common.
Okay, being too rigid is definitely about the swing, a little more swing focused. So it's not all about the legs, but being too rigid is clenching, tightening the joints, and not getting whipped. In Spain, they focus a lot on elasticity and looseness. So the idea that when you swing, you create energy through basically elastic energy transfer. And the only way to do that is by keeping your joints loose. Many players hit the ball tight. They're very tight, sometimes cramped, and that doesn't translate power, and it doesn't create a lot of spin. So that's one of the secrets of Spanish tennis. If you try to stay more loose and free-flowing, you're going to hit better.
Common forehand problem, I call it a rhythm. The stroke has to have a rhythm.
Okay, el ritmo. Rhythm is a common theme in Spain, really, really important idea in Spain, where it's not just the rhythm of how you move, it's the rhythm of how you swing. And basically, it's hard to describe just in a presentation like this, but it's the idea that you start a little bit slowly and then you build up speed. So you start a bit slowly and then you build up speed. And there's a nice rhythm. When you see really high-level players playing, they have this beautiful rhythm of the shot. At the end, the swing pauses, which is typically taught by Tony Nadal. So this is like, it goes slow, fast, and then a pause. And good players have a beautiful rhythm. Lower level players tend to be arrhythmic when they swing. They tend to be arrhythmic in their technique. And they look oftentimes abrupt. Swings look very jagged and abrupt. They don't look smooth and rhythmic. So that is a big key teaching point in Spain, the rhythm of the stroke. This is not so much the legs, but this is the actual swing itself. Do we have one more? Let's do this one. A couple examples of Spanish movement. Sophia. This is a very famous drill by Luis Bruguera. The player's surprised and has to move all around the court, working on their spacing and positioning. This is more of a reaction drill. That was out. I think it was out.
Have you ever wanted footwork like Rafa Nadal?
Yes, I do.
One of his favorite drills when he was a kid that he learned from his uncle Tony.
Micah, this is you.
Hi, it's Chris Lewit, top American junior coach and coach to many #1 juniors in the United States.
I will skip that guy. Okay, this is like a well-known footwork drill from Tony Nadal. Just another example of the kind of stuff you'd be working on in Spain.
Let's do it again. Shuffle back.
Micah, you look good.
Just shuffle back and restart. Let's go.
You have some Spanish style in you.
You can have a few people doing this. You could do this with 3 or 4 kids, 2 or 3. It's more typical in Spain.
So a focus on footwork, an obsession with footwork.
Start again.
That will help you, and that is a common theme in Spain.
Any footwork pattern you want here. This is just
consistency. If everyone who plays tennis worked on this, they win a lot more matches. Inconsistency kills you in tennis. In tennis, the one who makes fewer mistakes wins. Consistency is the key to everything. This is an extremely common philosophy in Spain. They're kind of obsessed with making balls, and they believe in being very stingy, very frugal with errors. So they don't teach a style. Alcaraz is a little bit of an exception because he is quite a shot maker, but traditionally in Spain, they teach a very stable, steady style of tennis where you don't give a lot of mistakes to the opponent. And usually, if you look at statistics, if you look at analysis of matches, analytics, you'll see that players who make fewer errors tend to win matches. So if you look at the comparison between win-loss, the players who have fewer errors, they win more. It's very simple. This point is incredible. This is a 54-shot rally at the US Open on hard courts. I think you guys will enjoy this one. So are these guys consistent? Very, very consistent. So that Djokovic, he's obviously not Spanish, but he does play in a similar style to Spanish players. He's very, very steady. He gives away very few errors, and that makes for winning tennis. That type of rally between two guys at the top of the world, it just shows you the level that these guys are at. I've had some rallies like that, not at that level, but as you're in a rally like that, your heart rate starts rising. You start to, get a little fatigued, and sometimes if you're in the zone, you can really swing for the fences. Really, you can make you feel like you can make anything, and I think that's what they were feeling there. They could just swing out and never miss, and finally, Rafa missed, but after 54 shots. How many of you guys can rally 54 shots? That's what I want for my students. Here's Sofia on the wall. As I mentioned, La Pared is a very, very famous Spanish drill. This is where the coach volleys. You can see that. And the player has to hit to the coach's chest. How many do you think she got?
194. 198. 199. 200. 201. 201.
Good job, Sophia. That was real. We didn't cheat that. That was real, I promise. So if you notice in my comment here, the record in Spain is Garbiñe Muguruza, who won 2 Grand Slams for Spain. And she famously did 840 balls in a row with this same exercise with the coach. And to do 800 will take over 45 minutes without a rest. So it's very, very taxing. I once took a player to Spain, and she made about 415, and the coach missed the volley. And she was devastated, and he didn't continue. He stopped. So I didn't think that was fair, but she did amazing. She got 4. Anyway, do you remember the rally that was 54 shots? This sort of prepares a player for that, because obviously most rallies in tennis are not this long, but this builds your stamina and focus so that if you're in the US Open and it's a critical point.
We're running low on time if you want time for questions.
I didn't know we had a time limit. Okay. How much time do we have?
Well, I had suggested half an hour for the presentation and 15 minutes for questions, but we have now 5 more minutes or so.
Okay. Okay. I did not know that. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay, acceleration and weapon building is a big part of Spanish tennis. As we talked about, when Alcaraz said his favorite shot is the forehand, Rafa the same. My forehand is my best shot. I use it to control the game, to control my opponent. Let's see if I have a quick one here. A couple here. Did you see him curve that one? He put side spin on it. Wow.
Halt, zil.
Okay. So if you want something simple to help your game, try to focus on your forehand. A lot of people think the serve is the most important shot in tennis. It definitely is one of the most important shots in tennis. In Spain, they actually believe typically the forehand is the most important shot in tennis. And you can debate that, but you use your forehand on both the return games and the serve games. And when you serve, you only do it half the time. So I can make a good case for the forehand as the most important shot. So if you want to help your game the Spanish way, try to improve your forehand weapon. Spend time on that. Dedicate time to that. Some people focus on their weakness rather than their weapon. If you focus on building a forehand weapon, that will help you dominate the game. Defense. So Spanish players are famous for their defense. You want to have that forehand weapon, but if you can also work on your defense, that will help you. That will help you get extra points. Nadal said, defense is not just about getting the ball back, it's about putting yourself in a position to attack. That's important. When you play defense, it's not just for defending, it's also for getting set up to attack. I think I have a good defense clip here. This is straight from Roland Garros, I believe. 2021 Roland Garros. Rafa's on the defense. Watch this one. Incredible defense here again from Rafa. Spanish players never give up. They never stop running. They never stop fighting.
Got it. Oh, you know what? I think Rafa teed him up there.
You like that one? Okay, so defense as a complement to your offensive forehand. That's the Spanish way. That will help you. And the last one.
Universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
90% of students with a 4.0 plus GPA get rejected from university.
Sorry. So this is a very important point. If you want to improve your tennis game, how about focusing on your fitness? How about getting a little more fit than the other player across the net? In tennis, physical conditioning is as important as talent. You don't often think about that. If you are stronger, faster, and can endure longer, you have the advantage from Tony Nadal. So this is a huge part of Spanish tennis. They really, truly believe that you have to be fitter than your opponent so you can outlast them like a warrior, battle of attrition. So I would recommend that to all of you. If you're interested in improving your tennis game, take some time and focus on your fitness, and that will make you play better. I have some amazing clips of Alcaraz in the gym and different players suffering on the court. I'll leave you with a couple really entertaining clips of defense and suffering. In Spain, the idea of suffering is really, really important to their culture. They teach all the young players to suffer, the mentality to be a warrior, to be a fighter on the court. So this idea of suffering is more the mental conditioning, and then you have the physical conditioning. But if you can teach yourself to endure pain and suffer well, that's also the Spanish way to get better. I'll leave you with the last couple clips here. That was tweener. Daniel Evans. It's frustrating to play Alcaraz. I have another one here. Incredible point here. Sinner. We had to show Sinner. So is Sinner solid? Is he consistent? Very consistent. Very consistent. This is what I meant about the Spanish way being solid. He's very good from the baseline. And he's a great mover, too. All right, last one.
No way. Points off. This rally.
Okay.
How quick he is.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video journey with me into Spanish training and philosophy and some of these highlights. Let me know if you have any quick questions. I'm sorry I ran over time.
I have a question, Chris.
Yes.
Back to the beginning, and you're talking about the drill with the coach standing in front of the player, the cleaning drill.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't more coaches do that, and why is it more effective? Is it because the coach can control where the ball is, or is it that the player has to generate his own power? But you don't see it very often.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons with that soft feeding is the player has to generate their own power from the kinetic chain. The coach gives them no power. So that helps them develop their racket speed. That's one aspect. Minion. Also the coach is up close, so the coach can see things better, can make corrections better. And the communication's better. It's much better for me to be close to you where we can look at each other eye to eye and I can feel what you're feeling and we can have a conversation about what's going on with your game. And so I think the communication's better. And you have a lot of control, just from a coaching perspective, you have a lot of control with your hands, more than with the racket. You can do a lot of creative things with your hand, and you can overload the player too, because you're so close. There's not that lag time where the ball goes across the net and then you get another one. You can speed up and do rapid fire and really push the player. So that is actually becoming much more common now. If you look on Instagram, there's a ton of Spanish drills now, and many coaches are using hand feeding. But there is a large group of coaches in the world who don't believe in hand feeding. They say it's not real, it's not realistic enough, and they prefer more live ball play. So there is a strong group of coaches who actually believe that. So there's a bit of controversy there. You know. Yes, man.
Who has a better forehand, Alcaraz or Nadal?
Come on. I don't know. Those amazing forehands. I would say maybe Nadal because it's lefty. And because he's lefty, it allows him to attack the backhand. That's how he made so many millions, you know. And so I think he admits that himself. He says one of the great advantages I had was that I was a lefty. Yeah, so I would say probably Nadal. If Alcaraz can win 22 Grand Slams, we'll see. But he's only won 4 so far. Okay, so we're going to do, yes, last question?
I had a question about drop shots and finesse.
Yeah.
So do the Spaniards use less of that than the Americans or the Russians or the Eastern Europeans?
You see a lot of drop shots in Spain. It's very popular, yes. And Alcaraz has made the drop shot incredibly popular nowadays. And it used to be that I had to encourage my students to drop shot. Now my students come to me and they always drop shot because they watch Alcaraz and he's so dynamic. But in Spain, they don't often teach the drop shot, but because they play on clay, on slow red clay, they end up practicing a lot. They hit a lot of drop shots because of the surface that they play on. It's harder to hit a drop shot on a fast court. It's easier on a slow clay court.
I just had one other question.
Yeah.
Did you know Rafa when he was a righty, when he had to switch to a lefty?
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about when he was a kid, and he was probably ambidextrous as a kid. So I'm not sure of the veracity of whether he was a righty or lefty. There have been magazine articles written about that, but I'm actually not so sure. I believe, from what I know, he was probably ambidextrous as a kid. So he was both lefty and righty. Yeah. All right, Kim, you want to do the raffle? Thank you, guys. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.
You're going to walk up to the front. You're
Oh.
going to piece of paper.
Oh.
Tim's going to talk to Daddy about doing the lesson. All of them are written on. So you're just going to go up and pick one, hand it to Daddy. Okay? Whichever one you pick, Bunny.
Oh, you can pick it. You want to pick it? Go
Yeah, she's
ahead.
going to pick it.
Oh, she's going to pick it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's going to hand it to you. All right.
Okay, all right.
There you go.
I'm ready. Drum roll.
Yeah, come back. You come back. Yeah. Okay, we have a winner. Who's the winner, Osh? Let's see.
It is Steve Nguyen. Dude, Xavier. Nice, dude. Okay, so I'm happy to sign any books. You can I love talking Spanish tennis, so if you have any questions, just come and let me know. I enjoyed sharing my journey.